Alright, dude. You know what? Whatever, man. I decided to do some research after the podcast me and my brother did on the new Ghostbusters movie about the remake. Someone was talking in the comments about there being too many remakes now and all that shit. You know, we were talking about in our video that there's always been lots of remakes, that remakes are often good, and that sometimes they can even be helpful to draw attention to the original film. But is there maybe too many now? Maybe not enough original ideas? Well, you know, recently I ran the numbers on anime to find out how many light novel adaptations we were getting and how many harems and stuff like that, to see if the claim that anime was overrun with those genres was substantiated. So I decided to do the same thing for remakes while being wasted. It's way harder to research, because the best resource I could find for a list of all remakes is Wikipedia, which has giant lists of all the film remakes. But the best lists I could find for a list of all films from each decade was using IMDb's advanced search. And the numbers are so wildly different for both things that I feel like they can't possibly, be the same. But the percentages correlate. You'll understand what I mean when I start talking about this. So, in the 1910s, according to IMDb, searching for just films in that year, only feature films in that year, I got 12,448 results, which sounds crazy, but proportional to the other years, it makes sense. So 12,448 results. Out of that, according to Wikipedia, there were 2 remakes, which means that remakes comprised 0.01% of the films that came out that year. Not too surprising, film was pretty new in the 2010s. In the 20s, the 1920s, I got 19,052 results, 9 of those being remakes, meaning that remakes were 0.04% of all films coming out. In the 40s, there were 13,494 results, 25 remakes, 0.18%. In the 50s, there were 19,826 films, 45 of them remakes, representing 0.23%. In the 60s, there were 26,730 films, 28 of them remakes, meaning 0.1% being remakes. Actually, the percentage went down from the 50s. In the 70s, there were 29,962 results, 38 of them remakes, being 0.12%. Again, a lower number. In the 80s, there were 31,598 results, 73 of them remakes, meaning 0.2%, numbers going back up. In the 90s, there were 34,525 results, 110 remakes, 0.3% of them being remakes. So the number has gone up. In the 2000s, there were 46,966 results, 188 of them remakes, 0.4% remakes. So the number has gone up again. And finally, in the 2010s, there were 71,792 films, 76 of them remakes, 0.1%. Now, obviously, the 2010s are not over yet, but going by percentages, it would look like we've actually had a drastic decline in remakes compared to the overall number of films coming out this decade compared to the last decade. The 2000s rather, were crazy. Fuckloads of remakes. I think advances in technology are to blame for a lot of these, and the numbers have never gone up astronomically. I don't think there's so many more remakes now that it's like crazy, and honestly, so many of the remakes were like foreign films and stuff that people don't even talk about, that I think they had little bearing on, like, you know, people's perception of, like, the Hollywood remake coming out all the time. So, is there more now? The answer is yes. Is it, like, an astronomical amount more now that it's, like, you know, worth seeing as a huge problem?